Greetings, olive knots. Welcome to day 6 of Devon's olive experiment. It is Sunday, January 11th, 2026, Common Era, 11:31 and 46 seconds p.m. Before we get into it, here's a good look at the chart. I know all my chart heads out there love a chart, so take it in. Pause if you have to. I won't hold it against you if you really need to absorb the chart. But this episode is a very special episode because we have hit our 2 to the power of 3 subscribers special, which means I can finally talk about this lovely robe. This robe, I believe it comes from the 1970s, perhaps even the late 1960s. And it did receive some damage, which you can see most notably on the bottom hem here, that I've repaired. There was a hole here, and I just went a zoop right there and reattached this portion. And when I did so, I did not realize that there are shoulder pads actually in this. And so I washed it and it got all messed up. So I had to get in there, stick me hand way up there, and put the shoulder pads back where they belong. And it taught me a valuable lesson, which I had to be taught about 2 or 3 times, which was... if you have any kind of internal padding in a garment, you should really secure that on its entire perimeter, especially if it's something that's going to go in a washing machine or a drying machine, or even if it's going in both. Many of these older clothing types were designed to be washed by hand. And in our modern era, our machines do things to them that they were not designed to handle. But anyway, let me get into the narrative of this fine piece of clothing. This belonged to my uncle. My uncle on my mother's side, her eldest brother. Now, you may be thinking, well, if it's his, why do you have it, Devon? Well, my mother had it for a long time because he died. So to tell you about why I have this, I have to tell you how my uncle died. And the story of my uncle's death can be boiled down to be very uninteresting. He was killed because he drove drunk. But the circumstances around it do have a little bit more intrigue. Which I gotta not take too long. These olives, they're warming up every second I sit here narrativizing at you. But my mother's family were on a hunting retreat in Alaska, as they did relatively frequently. They would drive up from California, where they lived, through the Great White North, to the largest state in this union. But my uncle was going to arrive there after the rest of the family did. The family was there, and then my uncle drove drunk, crashed, and died. And my grandmother felt a psychic presence, knew instinctively that something was wrong. Um, Long before the point in time at which her son, my uncle, was supposed to arrive. So she demanded that they drive into town and call to check in on the telephone, because this was the 70s. There were no mobile phones for us average folk. And then my grandmother found out that her son had been killed. And that confirmed her psychic premonition. My family on my mother's side has a history of precognition. Not general psychic ability, precognition only. And I will not state my level of experience with precognitive events. That will be a 2 to the infinitieth power subscriber special. All of that being said, that's how this robe made its way to me. This character seems like it might be a Chinese character. I did my best to look it up. Seems like it's just some nonsense that someone in California in the 70s was like, that's what Chinese characters look like. If you happen to have any familiarity with Hanzi or Kanji or Hanja, and know anything about this, I thought strongly that it may just be upside down. But even in the alternate orientation, I was not able to find anything matching said description. But if you're an expert on the matter, weigh in. Tell me what you think. That's enough about clothes on this here olive show. Let's get into the olives. The final olive of this, the second cycle, is the black olive. And now that we are coming to an end of a cycle, you, the viewers, have more power than you ever have before. That being the ability to choose between all 3 olive types for what next olive I shall put into my body. And not just the next olive, the next 3 olives, because as our third go around on the olive cycle, it shall be 3. All right. I have 2 black olives here. Now, referencing the chart, I can see that it looks like 3.5 is what I rated the last olive. Let's see how wait, hold on. I gave it a casual sniff, but let me give it a professional sniff. Really, like, not a strong flavor. I believe it was the Claudema olives that I could smell near instantly after opening them up. These black olives are not fragrant. Enough of that, though. Let me grind these between me teeth. Texturally, nothing new to report. Very uniform. Taste-wise, honestly, I'm not getting much I mean, a little bit of saltiness, but not much besides the quintessential olive flavor. Black olives seem to, at least flavor-wise, be the platonic olive. Um, and that olive flavor, which I have hated for so long in my life, I feel very little about at this point. It seems to me to inspire no strong emotion whatsoever. And given that that's the case, I'm forced now, required by law, to give the black olives a 5 out of 10. So that is that. Dear viewers, please tell me explicitly which variety of olive to eat tomorrow. I would recommend that you do so within the next 18 hours so I can have enough time to prepare spiritually for which olive I will be putting into my body and thus fueling my soul with. Other than that, Star Walker.